Welcome to the class today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the feet today and how to work with the feet without hurting the knees by opening the hips so that the knees are safe, and then we can work with the feet. So this I'll show you a few steps on how to get to this pose that has been incredibly helpful for my feet, and hopefully they can be helpful for your feet. So it increases the flexibility in the feet, the stability. Um, of course, reduces the pain in the feet. But I started doing this work to correct a toe that was sort of starting to slant and turning into a bunion. And so this has been incredibly effective. So hopefully it can help you too. So here we go. We'll start going through some quick steps on how to get there and how to practice. Um, and with this especially, go slow, and depending on the flexibility of the feet or of your foot, I'll show you how to use props so that you can support that progression of the foot. So let's get into it. Okay. Sit for a moment in a comfortable seated position and take a few breaths. And then with every breath, release any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And then remember throughout your practice to keep breathing so that you release the eyes, the ears, and the throat, the tongue, so that you don't continuously build any tension in your face as you practice. Okay, so first, let's take a look at the foot. Okay, so if I can show you the bottom of the foot here, we can spread the toes, we can curl your toes. So go ahead and spread the toes apart. And then you'll notice that we have these 4 points. We're going to have these imaginary 4 points of the foot. So 1 point here, here, and 2 points at the bottom of the heel. So spread the toes, and then we're going to balance these points by pressing them into the ground. So these 2 points and the 2 points here. Then we have the mounds of the toes here that I'm going to call these mounds of the toes, and a mound of the pinky toe, and all the way to the big toe. Okay, and here we have the arch of the foot here. Okay, and so to get started, what we'll do is we'll do some leg lifts to start opening up the hips so that we can get started with our practice. So come to the wall. Excuse me. So we come back here near the wall, and I'm going to place my feet on the mat so that they are hip width apart. So I don't want my feet too far apart or close together, but hip width apart. Then I'm going to press those 4 points of the foot, so the 2 points between the mound of the big toe and the mound of the little toe and behind on the heel, and I'm going to press those into the mat. So press those 4 points into the mat, and then I'm going to spread the toes. I'll show you. So here I can spread my toes so they have nice space in between each toe here. Okay, spread the toe and press those points into the floor, and the 2 points on the inside, on the outside. I don't have, a collapsing ankle here, so that I can rotate this out. Right, so if you want to use your hands, you can rotate it out and see how that outer rotation of the ankle here, it will balance the weight of your body onto those 4 points of the feet. So rotate it out so that you don't have this inner rotation here and collapse of the ankle here. So we start here. Okay. So with that in mind, with this small little detail in mind, let me fix the computer here. okay, of the feet. So place your feet on the mat, hip widths apart, spread the toes apart as much as you can. If they don't move yet, it's okay. Slowly they start spreading apart when you would like them to. And then balance the weight of the feet, rotate that ankle out so that you're not collapsing the ankle in towards the floor. And see what that feels like. Once you start getting used to those refinement on how to stand, then start checking how is it that you place your foot on the ground. Do you tend to collapse in? Do you tend to rotate out towards the outer edge of your foot? So balance the feet on the mat, and then refine that balance a little bit by rotating the ankles out a bit, balancing the weight of the feet. Great. And then make sure that the eyes, ears, and throat and tongue are nice and soft. So they're not building any extra tension as you're working on the feet. You're not tensing the throat, the eyes, the ears, or the tongue. Great. After a few breaths here, we'll start these leg lifts. So I'll do them on this angle so that you can see. So when I lift my knee, I want to lift the knee without bending this bottom knee. So this knee stays nice and straight. So I lift the knee, and I do the same thing with my feet. So I make sure that I'm not collapsing the foot that stays on the ground, right? That's bearing the weight. I'm not collapsing the ankle. I'm keeping that foot balanced, and I'm lifting my arches also. So here, the way to lift the arch is you press these 2 points down, and that gives you the support to lift the arch here. All right, so we march like this. So you can hold a mudra, or you can just hold your hands on a 90-degree angle like this, your arms, hands extended out, and then bring the knee up. So first important, this is a very simple exercise, but then it really teaches very important things to your body. So first, how to place your feet on the mat by spreading the toes, lifting the arches, balancing the weight of the feet on those 4 points of the feet. Then while you do that, you don't hold any tension in the eyes, ears, throat, or tongue. Then we start lifting. When we start lifting, we're still paying attention to those actions of the feet, but we don't bend the knee. So keep the knee straight. Straight meaning we lift the kneecaps up, we don't hyperextend. So if you have a tendency to hyperextend, or if you don't hyperextend, but you're pushing the calf back or the back of the knee back, make sure that you're thinking of this as you're lifting the kneecaps. Okay, so lift the kneecap. I'm not pinching and pulling up. I'm just giving myself a little spot here to a little contact point, and then I notice that I can lift the kneecap. So that's the action, so we're not hyperextending the knee as we do this. So actions of the feet, then straight knee, kneecap up, tuck the pelvis, and you bring your march up. So a lot of refinement to this march. So at first, just do the march, and slowly you pay attention to each component of this leg lift to refine it more and more, but really improve the health of your feet while doing it. All right, so we are keeping the foot straight, the knee straight, feet active. And then the third thing that we'll look at today, perhaps one of the most important, is that they're all equally important, but this one pay extra attention to, where you don't drop the chest as you bring the leg up, even a little bit. So you keep this chest lifted, not this kind of bringing the ribs forward, but keep the ribs here. And it's that internal lift where you think of like this divine, or this these hands that are supporting the lungs, lifting the chest from the inside. So this nice lift, and we lift the chest, and we really watch that we don't do this, right? Or a little bit of a drop every time the knee comes up. So that's very important. So we'll do, with all of that introduction, we'll do about 10 lifts on each leg here. So hands out, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, make sure breathing throughout. And after you're finished with the lift, go ahead and go into a forward fold. If this is too much, find a wall, and you can keep the knees straight and rest against the wall, a chair, a bed, a couch. Just place your head against the one rest. If you can, come into Uttanasana. You can rest in Uttanasana and then come up when you're ready. So this, you can do these marches before your practice. You can do them while brushing your teeth, after brushing your teeth. Put them in a place in your day where you can do them every day, and it will really help your feet. Strengthen the feet, lift the arches, and energize your whole body after a while. So they're very good exercise to do. Okay, so in our foot journey, we're going to move on to opening the hips a little bit. So we'll do a few hip opening exercises, and then we'll look at the exercise that we'll eventually do for the foot. Okay, so here what I want to do is come into your downward dog. So come into your mat, come into a downward dog. And if this is too difficult, or if you have high blood pressure, or you don't want to bring the head below the heart, go ahead and grab a chair and hold on to the sides of the chair here. And you can do your downward dog on the chair. Totally fine. And come forward, and we're going to bring the knee to the ground, and we're going to lunge. So here, and then back to downward dog. And lunge. Okay. And one more downward dog, and then go ahead and bring the knees down and come back to your mat. So starting to open up the hips to just bring a little circulation there. And what I want to show you is a way of working with your feet. But we have to be careful with the knee. So if your knee and your hips are if the hips are very tight, it's going to inform the knee. So if the hip is tight, there's also going to be a little bit of more danger to your knee. And so if you move your ankle in a certain way, it can actually damage the knee if the hips aren't open. So let me show you how to work with that. We're going to sit here, and I'm going to start out with 2 blocks. So I might have to add more blocks depending on the flexibility in my hip. And I'm going to sit down on the blocks here. Okay, and we can put these against the wall if they're 2 inches away from the wall, if you need that stability of having the wall there. And I'm going to bring my left leg to this position here. So bring my left leg into this position where my toes are curled underneath like that, and the knee is out. So what I want to look out for here is that this knee is below my hip. So if the knee is up here, then I'm going to have to add a little bit more height. Okay, so we'll go over this first. Knees lower than the hips. If these blocks aren't enough, I can work on the chair. So I can start here maybe. So start on the chair, and I'm going to bring my left leg into this position where my toes are, almost being bent on the floor. So first thing that I want to watch out for, let me bring the computer closer. Okay. So here we go. So I'll show you different levels. So this chair would be if there's a lot of tightness in the feet. So I want the feet to be like this in this position. And what I want to happen here is I want all of my all of my toes to be part of this exercise. So even the pinky toe. So sometimes I have to go back there and adjust the pinky toe so that it's also participating. And I want all of the mounds of the toes, to be in contact with the floor. So what ends up happening is this side of the pinky tends to lift and go out so that you only have the big toe end touching, because there's a lot of tightness in the hips, so you can't rotate like that, but that's fine. So I want to make sure that eventually I get to the place where all of the mounds of the toes are touching on the floor, and that the foot in the beginning, it really will lean back like this. So I want to make sure that I bring this heel forward so that it's perpendicular with the floor. Okay, so that's the positioning that I want. And then I eventually want to bring both feet. And what I want here is all of the mounds of the toes to touch and then to be on the floor like this, and then to them to all to touch. Right, so the mounds of the pinky are touching and all of the toes and the big toe. Okay, so in the beginning, it's a little bit challenging. And so there's a few things we can do. We can use a rolled up piece of mat like this. Okay, so I put a PVC pipe in the center, but you don't have to. You can just get a rolled up piece of mat. And you can sit on the chair with your mat. And you can put your feet like this. So, we'll start one at a time. So about 2 minutes like this, making sure that this knee is below the hip. And, at first, not all of the mounds will touch. So you work with what you can, and eventually they'll all touch. Okay, and then work on the second side. Okay, so place the feet there and breathe and lift the chest. And here have the eyes, the ears, and the throat to release any tension, not to accumulate any tension as you breathe. And here, watching that the heel isn't dropping back. So feel free to grab another roll and place it so that this heel stays perpendicular, not leaning back. Okay, so that's the beginning. And then eventually we put both feet there. So if that's something that you can work with, this is a great way to start this journey of working on those toes and balancing the feet, which is so important. We're on our feet, every day. So there we are, improving flexibility of the toes, of the feet. So if the chair works for you, work on the chair for a few months, and then eventually you can come down to the floor. Once you're finished, just come out. We'll remove these rolls, and I'll show you how to do this using the blocks. Okay, so we have the chair. So here we have blocks. Once I start adding, you can start with 3 blocks if you'd like, but I think any more than that, it just gets too unstable. So unless you have very wide blocks and you have a lot of them, that would be a good place to start. But I'm going to work with 2. And the way that I choose the height that I sit on is just that one rule where you're making sure that the knees are below the hips. So if I'm sitting like this, I'm not sitting on enough height, right? So if I'm able to, when I bring my leg back, I'm able to drop that knee so that it's lower than my hip, then the height is fine. I can keep this height. So we're going to work with one leg at a time. And what I want to do here is, again, the same thing that I was showing you up close. And I can bring the computer a little closer. Okay, so we're going to come here. Okay, and I'm I'm going to bring all of the mounds of my toes, including the pinky toe, I'm going to bring that onto the floor. So they're all on the floor. And then what's going to happen is this heel is going to lean back here. So I support it on the block. If it's too close, you know, and if I can't get it this close to the block, then right, so in the beginning there'll be a lot of tightness, so my foot will have a hard time rotating all around. So do more of those leg lifts and lunges, and then we're going to get to the place where we can go like this and it's still tight. Bring it as close as you can. Then you can grab a block and you put it behind there. You know, I have this block and I put it behind there so that I keep my heel from leaning back. Okay, and then I can even push the block out to rotate the heel. I'll show you that. So here, you know, right, it's here, and I can try to roll that heel forward. But I want all of these in contact with the floor. So it's the journey of slowly getting to that point where you're here first, and then you have to come out here and adjust the pinky because it won't go, and eventually put a support there, and eventually all of them will touch the floor. So give that a try. Okay. So, and then I work with the right foot. So maybe start out 30 seconds on each side, work yourself up to 3 to 5 minutes per side, and then you can stay here for even longer. So eventually you can get both toes there. So press the heels together firmly. Make sure that all of the mounds of the toes are in contact with the floor and in contact with each other. So they're all touching, all in contact with each other. And we can sit here making sure these knees are below the hips like that. And eventually it's a good idea not to be leaning against the wall. So definitely use the wall in the beginning, but eventually we're going to not use the wall. So press the heels together and then you press the knees out. So if I were supporting my knees like this, I would want to spread my hands apart. So this is the action, not down, but out towards my hand. You push the knees towards my hand to spread my hands apart, pressing the heels together. So this is the work. And then you feel that this heel starts moving back. You can place a block there. If you have a little support, you can push that behind the heels here, put that there so that they come forward. All right, and that's the work. So then come out slowly and you can spread the toes apart. And I'll show you one more thing. So if in doing this, there comes up a place where you're adding a little bit of tension onto the knees. So if the knees are hurting, I'll show you how to use a belt to make sure that there isn't any pain on the knee. Okay, so here's a belt. And let's see. So what I want to do is I want to fold the belt in half. Okay, here we go. Fold the belt in half. And I want to make sure that I'm rotating my knee out. Okay, so the knee is going to rotate out this way, not in. So sometimes there's a tendency of this kneecap to be rotated in, and we want that kneecap rotated out. So I'm going to grab this loop, and I'll show you how to tell if you're doing it correctly. So you bring the loop out here and the tail end of the belt on this side. Then I'm going to just bring the belt in the loop like that and tighten it. Okay, so that I have this kind of thing going on here. And it creates a little knot for me so I can rotate my knee out. Okay, show it from here. This little knot creates a catch, and then you can rotate the knee out. So when you practice, you can straighten the knee and also your ankle. Right? So rotate the knee out. And the way you can tell if you're not doing it correctly, let's just say if you forget and you bring the loop to the outside instead of the inside here, if you're pulling it here, you'll see that you're rotating it in. So then, just turn it around. Okay, just play with it and send me if you need me to make you another video, let me know. But here we go, rotate it in. So if you're doing this foot exercise and your knee is hurting a little bit, then you would tie this belt around the knee that is hurting. Okay, go ahead and sit on your height or on the chair, whichever height that you choose that's appropriate for you. And you can rotate the knee out here as you do it. Okay, so as you practice this, you rotate that skin of the knee out, and that will help any pain in the knee. But if the pain in the knee is a lot, and sometimes if you're very tight, maybe the knee will be out here, then that's fine. Just sit up on a height a little bit more. Don't sit as low, and make sure that you, if you are feeling pain in the knee, stop. Either sit on a chair or work on the knee before you move on so that you don't damage your knee while doing this. Okay, so this is a nice way to do it. All right. And so creating that stability of the feet by allowing the weight to be distributed correctly on the foot, and then using the leg lifts to create strength, to learn how to lift the arches of the feet. And then we start, we open the hips a little bit so that you are able to sit in this position. Start from the height that's appropriate from your body, appropriate for your body, but start this work of sitting like this every day. So sit like this every day, 5 to 10 minutes if you can, and then switch. And then start seeing the changes that are happening in your feet, the flexibility and the strength that you can create there. If you need to, you can use a little roll, or you can use a little washcloth. You can put that underneath the toes if they're hurting or if they are not so flexible yet. So you can place little supports there. If the knee is hurting, rotate it out. So I hope this helps you, and I hope this is a nice way to practice, and that it really helps your foot come back to health, or just maintain and improve the health of your feet. So I hope you enjoyed this class. Let me know if there's any comments. I'll link more classes and more information about the feet on the description below. And have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Monday at 11:30 Pacific Standard Time in California. Thank you so much.